morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. We are back once more. Amelia was probably chatting some shit when the recording started and didn't realise. Anyway, we're back to today's review. It's my turn this week. I'm gonna have to apologise. I mean, you could like speak at a normal volume, so then they can actually hear you. That was just loud. Doesn't matter.
I was saying I actually sat through and watched it. Wait, everyone.
That wasn't worth it. Anyway, I, of course, am your host, Purple Midnight 8, joined by Amelia, the Obsidian Nook Pearl ASMR, as ever. There are two extra co-hosts here today. We are joined by Stazzy Pan, as always, Stazzy Pan Fluffington III, and his sister, Tiny Tottington.
The only reason she's in here is because we've had a thunderstorm and I don't think she'll admit it, but she's scared of thunder, and I think in the past she's like been really near to like Stasi in the past.
Yeah. It's not like her to come in here, but autumn is finally on its way after consistent, like, late 20 degrees weather, 30 degrees. Smitten has just entered the room. We have every cat in the house in the room. For whatever reason, the thunder has calmed down. Tanya's just watching me talk.
She looks terrified, by the way.
She looks horrified. She is never here for this. The other two understand, but I think she just thinks I'm mental, which I don't blame her for. Anyway, we are here this week looking at The Mist, the movie, not the TV series that's on Netflix, which I warned her about when I first said that I was going to do this, that I'm going to have a bit of a run about the TV series, because what the fuck were they thinking with the TV series?
And obviously I have a book, so I
haven't read the book either. But
I thought you did.
I've heard of the change in ending though, and like a few of the differences. But anyway, so yeah, the TV series is just not worth watching if you're a fan of the book or the movie, just because there are no monsters in The Mist. It's just people's biggest fears, and like the mist actually kills people itself. It's weird. It's bizarre, but of course, I believe in the novel as well as this, they are actually monsters in the mist. But the TV series was like, source material? Nah, don't need it, mate. We'll just have mist, which is scary. Anyway, of course, we are looking at the 2007 film. Our second 2007 film in a row, following Halloween last week. We're worried about Smith chewing plastic, because that's what he does. So this film was, of course, written and directed by Frank Darabont, who went on to co-create the Walking Dead TV series. For the first series, and then they fired him, hence why a lot of things in season 1 is different to the rest, and how it then gets retconned later on into being variants of the virus, which they forgot about until season 11. That's why so many cast members from The Walking Dead are in this. Which I said to you, I only decided this because I looked at it and thought to myself, it's going to be so funny going, they're in The Walking Dead, they're in The Walking Dead.
I really recognise.
You recognise Carol, even though we've watched a bit of season 1, and obviously I've seen the entire show. But there are a lot of actors, a lot of character actors as well, lots of TV actors and stuff, probably for budget-y stuff. But we'll get into that anyway. Of course, it's adapted from the Stephen King novel, as mentioned. There aren't many references to him. Like the pharmacy next door to the store is called King's Pharmacy, named after him. But other than that, there's no cameo from him like some of his films, like he's in It, I think.
Oh, I never realised he cameo.
He hates doing them because he thinks he's a terrible actor, but he still does them for a laugh. So anyway, we'll get into it. Spoilers ahead, of course, as always. If you haven't seen it, I mean, honestly, major spoilers for the ending as well. We have to talk about the ending. Kind of spoilers for the books as well, not too much though, because we haven't even read it, but I know about the endings. So watch it before you listen to this, or just go on YouTube and look up the ending. It's depressing. Horrible ending. So we get to meet David, who is played by Thomas Jane of The Punisher fame. He was also in one of the Predator sequels, which we will cover eventually. He was in the shit one, The Predator. But of course, he was the Punisher and a bunch of other stuff. He is painting during a storm when suddenly the power goes out. His wife Steph, Kelly Collins Lintz plays her. She is not from The Walking Dead. However, her kids later on play characters in The Walking Dead. So yeah, there's a lot of connections to The Walking Dead because obviously you got Frank Darabont. And his son Billy, played by Nathan Gamble, head into the basement to seek shelter, and the following morning they go outside and find a tree has hit their house. They head down to their boathouse, finding the neighbour's tree has fallen and crushed their boathouse. They look over the lake, seeing a mist coming over, and David heads over to Norton's, who is played by Andre Brower, famously Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, to get his insurance, as it was Norton's tree that crushed the boathouse. Norton and David make conversation about the things they've lost and agree to trade their insurance details. David, Norton, and Billy all make their way into town, passing several electrical service vehicles and, shortly after, some military ones. From somewhere, a mysterious place called the Arrowhead Project, which was confirmed as being responsible for the mist. The three of them arrive at the town supermarket for supplies, and this is where we have our main settings for the majority of the film, as well as like the pharmacy next door and obviously just the roads. David tries to call Steph, but finds his phone and his payphone not working before he heads inside. It's really weird seeing someone pull out an old like Nokia flip phone. That was quite funny, showing the age. He speaks to Sally, who is played by Alexa Davalos, Norm, played by Chris Owen, and Ollie, played by Toby Jones. Toby Jones we will see again in Jurassic World 2, but he is also in the Indiana Jones films. Nope. He's in Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, apparently, and he's in Captain America. I know him mainly from the Jurassic World sequel and the Detectorists, the TV show. And you just can't remember. You just can't remember where you recognise him from. But from somewhere. He's just got a face that you recognise. So they talk about the people coming in to supply after the storm as Mrs. Carmody, played by Marcia Gay Harden, absolute cunt. You'll grow to hate her while you watch this film. Makes a remark about the mist. David catches up with Billy and Norton, where Norton leaves Billy and David to shop, and the three soldiers, Morales, played by Juan Pareja, he is back. Well, he's not back, actually. What am I on about? He is from The Walking Dead, playing a character with the same name, which is strange. Donaldson, played by Walter Fulton-Roy, and Jessup, played by Sam Witwer. Starkiller from the Star Wars The Force Unleashed games, and the Tank Walker in The Walking Dead from Season 1, who was meant to get his own episode until Frank Darabont got fired. So yeah, the three soldiers suddenly arrive, but they aren't there for trouble or to arrest anyone or to do the usual spouting of everyone needs to stay inside, it's military orders. They pass on the way Hattie, Susan Maylestein Watkins, and Irene, played by Frances Sternhagen, who is speaking with David about the storm. They all watch as an MP officer, played by Armin Joseph, arrives as Amanda, played by Laurie Holden. What's her fucking name? Andrea from The Walking Dead. Gives David a smile. Yeah, there's a lot. I've warned you, there's a lot of people from The Walking Dead. Like, we're not done yet. And there's a lot of cast members in this that I have to mention. All the customers watch as emergency vehicles pass by, and the MP tells the soldiers that their leave has suddenly been cancelled. An ominous alarm suddenly sounds as the MP officer leaves, causing all the people inside to watch as Dan, played by Jeffrey DeMunn, Dale from The Walking Dead, arrives screaming about something being in the mist. Dan orders everyone to shut the doors as a customer runs out just as the mist envelops the parking lot and the buildings. The man can be heard screaming as everyone closes the doors, and Ambrose, played by Buck Taylor, makes a theory of it being a chemical cloud as Carmody makes a religious theory. This woman is insane, and she's only going to get more insane. She's a stereotypical Bible basher that's going to get hardcore. The store suddenly starts lightly falling apart, sending everyone to the ground for cover. Bud, played by Robert C. Trevelyan, tries to calm everyone down as a woman who isn't named, played by Melissa McBride, Carol from The Walking Dead, insists she needs to get home to her children. Carmody tells her it's the end of days, and the woman insists once more that she needs to leave, with nobody siding with her to help her to get back to her children. So as a result, she leaves on her own, disappearing into the mist. And somehow this woman survives the entire film, despite Norton and his grunts going out later on and then presumably dying.
I didn't honestly think she was going to make it when she walked out.
That's why I'm so happy I didn't tell you that she makes it. David attempts to comfort Billy, who is worried about his mother as the other holdouts settle down. Billy eventually settles down as some of the others gather around out of concern for him, and David leaves Billy with Hattie, passing a group of skeptics who are led by Norton, and goes to the loading bay to get a blanket for Billy. He finds the generator pumping out smoke and turns it off, which causes the lights to go out and makes him stumble around in the dark. Carmody speaks with Norton's skeptics with her own theories on how the mist is there to punish them for their sins. David stumbles around in the loading bay when he notices the shutters to the door rattling, which causes him to retreat out of there. He runs out, finding Ollie and two mechanics outside the door, and they say they didn't hear the noise, and the two mechanics call him a liar. Four of them, plus Norm, all head in, suggesting that the exhaust of the generator is clogged up, and Norm volunteers to go out and unclog it himself. Very brave. I mean, I know none of you know what's going on yet, but yeah, they're all just skeptical. The mechanics power the door, and it opens, allowing several spiked tentacles to reach in and grab hold of Norm, who, despite Ollie and David's best efforts, he is dragged out to his death, which absolutely terrifies the two mechanics. David manages to close the door on a tentacle and hack it off before he confronts and attacks one of them. David goes back into the store where he changes his clothes to not scare Billy, because he is covered in the blood of poor old Norm. Both mechanics agree with him and Ollie that people need to know about what's going on in order to protect them. David calls Norton over and they agree to his story, but Norton doesn't believe them and insists they're playing a joke on him. Ollie gets the people to gather around, and Bud still follows store procedure, threatening to write up Ollie, who basically just tells him to go fuck himself. David attempts to tell everyone what's going on, with Dan agreeing to his claims, because obviously he was out there, and his story. David takes Bud and a biker in and shows them the tentacle, and when they poke it, it dissolves away. They emerge into the store floor and tell the people that it is true, and they need to barricade the storefront. Carmody heads into the bathroom and prays to God in order to shepherd them to heaven. She's going full cuckoo, but she's not there yet. Amanda comes in, which disturbs Carmody, and she tries to comfort her and offer her friendship, but Carmody refuses her with hostility. Carmody pleads to people that the things they're seeing outside were written in the Bible, with Jim, the arsehole mechanic that David attacked earlier, played by William Sadler, attempts to attack her, but is stopped as she continues her religious babblings. Carmody tells them they need to sacrifice people and that Norm was the beginning, and Amanda just absolutely slaps her, and it's beautiful. Yeah, to shut her up. And Billy oversees the three soldiers conversing.
She made a good point about how something about in the Bible people get hit with stones and that she should.
No, that's not yet. That's not that yet.
No.
She's on about something. She's mixing Amanda with Irene. Billy oversees the three soldiers conversing in private about something. He approaches the soldiers, asking them to get some help, with David following and asking the troops to help. Dan asks Bud about a gun, and Ambrose tells them he has a shotgun in his truck, and Amanda pulls out a revolver from her bag, which Ollie takes, due to him being a former shooting champion. Norton and his group of skeptics march to the front of the store in order to leave and seek rescue. David asks them to tie a rope around one of them, which the biker agrees to do in order to retrieve Ambrose's shotgun. Norton and the others head out into the mist, where shortly after the rope goes slack before suddenly tightening. It is dragged out of the store at high speed, burning the hands of those holding it before it lifts in the air and slacks back down again. Yeah, this bit's a bit disgusting. The group pull the rope in, dragging the lower half of the biker's corpse back towards the store, causing everyone to panic. Carmody pleads to David and the others that it is truly a punishment from God. It can be assumed that Norton and his skeptics are all fucking dead, because Jesus Christ, like, no one's gonna survive. Hang on, I just got a text from Morgan being like, "You're alright." I'm just hope. Ignore me. Anyway, we'll get back on with it. Jessup goes to see Sally, and the two speak about their worries and what could have happened with each other's parents. Jessup and Sally speak about how they knew each other in high school but never got together and agree to stay in a room together. Several of the people gather at the front of the store that night where several giant locust-like bugs slam against the glass, which of course makes Carmody believe that she is correct. They continue to shine lights, bringing more to the windows until a large bird-like creature smashes the window, allowing them all inside. Oh dear. One locust manages to lock onto Sally and sting her, with Jessup running over to help, but she soon dies from the toxin. Her face swells up and it's disgusting. One of the bird creatures get in and Ollie chases it, managing to shoot it to death. Customer at the front of the store is pinned by one of the bird-like creatures and has his neck ripped out, which was pretty fucked, before David burns it and beats it to death. The customer, however, tries to burn some more of them, but Matt trips on the bucket of gasoline and sets himself on fire, which of course burns him severely but doesn't kill him. Carmody is jumped on by a locust, and after reciting a prayer, it leaves her alone. The group scrambles to plug the hole in the window as David and Amanda pass Jessup next to Sally's body. They're spoken to by a woman who believes Carmody's claims as an unseen monster drags the biker's lower body away. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Nom 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 in my stomach. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. Anyway. David speaks with the severely burned man who asks for Ollie to shoot him to end his suffering. Amanda tries to ask Hattie to look after Billy, however she has taken her own life. And my batteries are going to fucking die again. For fuck's sake, this happened last time. David tells Ollie, Bud, and Dan that the burned man needs stronger medications to recover, and that Amanda comes over to tell them about Hattie. They carry Hattie's body into the loading bay and plan to head out to the next door pharmacy, and the group all agree they need to leave before Carmody manages to turn the store against them. Ollie, David, Dan, and the burned man's brother Bobby plan to go. Carmody wants more talky shit, until Irene throws peas at her to shut her up and orders Jim to go with them. Do you want to add your little point about the Bible saying something?
She was saying about how someone would get pebbled in the Bible.
They get stoned, they get people...
And then how could she not do it? But she kind of deserves it.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
Because not only that, she literally got someone dragged out of the store
to
be murdered, and then they stabbed him.
Yeah, it was fun. Jessup also volunteers to go with them alongside Mike, a man named Mike, and Irene. They arrive at the pharmacy, finding it abandoned and covered in cobwebs, but they do, however, find the MP and several dead people cobwebbed to the wall. The MP suddenly grabs Jim, apologising and begging for help, claiming it's their fault. The man's body starts to bubble until spiders burst from his body before some larger ones arrive. The spider's acidic webbing manages to burn Bobby's leg and he passes out from the pain. The MP's body unfortunately falls to the ground, which explodes into baby spiders as Mike is webbed in the face and killed. As they flee the scene, Irene sets fire to a spider as the spiders eat the webbed-faced man, which is nice. Dan stabs the spider as they leave and throws it out of the way, and while they're all running, they're forced to leave Bobby behind to be eaten. I think they did say he died by that point, so at least he wasn't alive. They make it back to the store where they are let in by the others, where Carmody has continued to turn more of the survivors to her cause. Amanda catches David up on the events, including the death of the burned man, and how Carmody has expanded her flock, including Jim. David grabs the last of the sane survivors, and they agree they need to escape, but they need to speak to the soldiers. David finds a distraught Jessup on his own, and he doesn't know where his colleagues are, and Dan tells them they aren't in a store, but maybe in a loading dock. David takes the others to the back, where they find Morales and Donaldson hanging from the ceiling, which further upsets Jessup, who is caught by Jim, who overheard him confessing. Jim forces him in front of Carmody, who blames him for the miss. I mean, they're technically not wrong, because the army were responsible. But he wasn't, but they believe he was. Carmody orders him to tell them what they've been going on at the Arrowhead Project, which he does. Tells them they made a device which allowed creatures from another dimension into their world. Carmody subsequently orders her followers to grab Jessup and throw him out to the mist, with a man stabbing him about 4 times in the stomach. Carmody Spot carry him to the front, where he is thrown out and promptly killed by a creature that grabs him as he begs to be let back in. Lovely. The next morning, the group set their plan into motion before the religious folks notice. However, Carmody intercepts them and the other people in the store surround them, and they attempt to sacrifice Billy and Amanda. However, Ollie shoots Carmody in the stomach and then in the head. Thank God. This scares our followers into allowing the group to escape from the store, and the group travel through the mist, with Ollie making it to the car. However, he is grabbed and killed, dropping his gun, which David then picks up. Spider kills Jim's friend, and Ambrose is separated and killed by spiders, and Bud only just manages to make it back to the store. David, Irene, Amanda, and Billy make it to the car and head out, passing by the store one last time. And they drive past David and Billy's home, where they see Steph dead from being killed by the spiders. She's all tied up in the cobwebs, so I assume that's what killed her. They continue driving, passing by a large amount of destruction and a colossal-sized creature that passes over them without attacking. The car eventually runs out of gas, stranding them in the mist as several noises from unseen creatures are heard around them. Right, now this is where shit's about to get depressing. David and the others silently agreed to kill themselves as opposed to suffering to the creatures, and David realises they don't have enough bullets for all of them, but Mercy kills Dan, Irene, Amanda, and Billy before stepping outside in order to kill himself from the monsters. However, unfortunately, the army arrives, having begun the clean-up process of fighting back the mist, and a truck passes by carrying the woman, Melissa McBride's character, who left the store earlier. David drops to his knees in despair, realising that they were moments away from rescue, as the movie ends. And that was The Mist 2007. As mentioned, the ending is a lot different. However, Stephen King has said that he prefers this ending. As I said to you in the novel, the reality is they just stopped. They just stopped somewhere and bunkered down for the night. Didn't have this depressing ending. And yeah, well, even Stephen King thinks this has a better ending. So, what were your thoughts? You got to answer your. You got to say your 2 usual lines.
Well, you have it on DVD. It's the first time I've actually seen it properly.
Mm-hmm. You did start watching the TV series, however, I told you to not bother because it was shit.
I realised that when you said it weren't true to book, then I was like, well,
Let's see why now.
Yeah, I can definitely see why now. But yeah, it was kind of disgusting when that one went out on the rope.
Yeah, how they just pulled his lower body back.
And his kind of insides were dragging on the floor. That was gross. But there's some gore in there, but not
some good kills as well.
Not like. But the ending kind of got me.
The ending was really sad. I'm surprised you never got that spoiled.
Yeah, I'm really shocked about the end more than anything.
Would you say that was your cup of tea?
I probably wouldn't watch it again now that.
Fair enough. But we've covered it now, so. So yeah, of course, this film is iconic, especially its ending. I think the acting was really good, and comedy was an absolute bitch throughout the entire film, and Marcia Gay Harden did a great job.
I feel like she needed a better kill, if I'm honest.
She did need a better kill. She could have died a lot more horribly for the kind of shit she did.
Done was probably shoot her in the leg or something, but then put her out there with the monsters to kind of suffer a bit more for what.
Well, the carnage she caused and murdering that poor man. However, I did read in the story that in the novel that they just Ollie just shot her in the gut and left her to bleed out, which is a bit more. It's a bit better than just allowing her to have a quick death. So, best kill, worst kill, putting it simply, worst kill goes to Carmody. Just because, realistically, she deserved worse, as we just mentioned. I probably realistically would have said Steph because they just sort of drive past her dead body. Because she was a character. She wasn't in it long, but it counts, I guess. Best kill obviously goes to the military police officer with the spiders. How can you not? Like that death was fucked up. Like he fell and his back exploded into spiders. Yeah, nah, that was definitely fucked up and definitely gets the best. So yeah, thank you ever so much for listening as always. That of course was the mist, as mentioned. Obviously, I'm running out of fuel. I'm running out of things to say. I of course, as always, have been your host, Purple Midnight 8. I've been joined by Amelia, the Obsidian Nook, Pal ASMR. You can find her links in the description. Two of the three extra co-hosts have left the room. Tiny is now just asleep. Yeah, that's about it. It'll be Amelia's turn at the end of the week, hopefully on time as opposed to this one being a day late. But hey, no, it's not going to be a day late because I'll schedule it for tomorrow, so it's going to be 2 days late. Anyway, thank you ever so much for listening. No, what day is it today? It's Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah, it'll be a day late. Excuse me, apologise. So yeah, thank you ever so much, and we'll see you on Saturday-ish. Hopefully, we'll see. Toodles.